sweetheart. Welcome. I am so excited for my show today. I have an amazing guest. I have Nick Saglimbeni, who is the creator of the world's most beautiful 3D magazine, and I'm so excited to have him here. We have the magazines here. We're filming live, so you're going to be able to see the magazines firsthand. It's going to be a great show. But first, real quick before we bring Nick on, I want to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. And must I say, I'm very happy because my Giants won. But I do want to say the heart that both teams displayed during such a hard-fought game, they did indeed come down to the very last play. The Hail Mary pass into the end zone by Mr. Tom Brady. That came oh so close to being completed for the game-winning touchdown. For their gift and determination, kudos to the Pats, whose fans would be extremely proud of them. The biggest congratulation goes to, of course, the champion, the Giants, who concluded a remarkable storybook run to the NFL title. It seems unfavorable that back on December 18th, after a dreary loss to the Washington Redskins, the Giant record was a mediocre 7-7. And it just didn't seem possible that the team would be able to win their last two games against the rival Jets and Cowboys to even make it into the playoffs. The New York Giant media was already preparing its stories on the eventual firing of head coach Tom McCollum, which was sure to happen once the Giants eliminated from the playoff connection. But something wonderful occurred. The team started to believe it in itself and play with heart, which means so much. They really had no choice. They had to win their last two games to go home. So they won them both, capturing the NFC East with a 9-7 record. Once in the team of believers who barely made the playoffs transformed itself into an amazing Atlanta at home crusher. On to Green Bay and disposing of the Packers, then surviving the brutal heavyweight bout of an NFC championship game against the 49ers. We hail to you, Giants. Congratulations, Mr. Eli Manning. Woo! I'm so excited. That was my team. And you know what? Nobody can say that Mr. Eli Manning is not a contender anymore. He is an elite quarterback. Okay, so enough about football. Now, I have my guest here in the studio with me, which I'm so excited about. Hey, Nick.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited, too. This is my first live in-studio radio show, so it's fun.
Cool. Well, I know your schedule is like so busy, so thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I just haven't slept much, so you have to forgive me being a little tired today.
Hey, you're in Vegas.
I am in Vegas.
There's no such thing as sleep here. Okay, so we have so much to talk about. I want to talk about first, can you give us a little background about you? Because obviously you're one of the most famous photographers in the world.
Oh, that's so not true.
Don't
even say that. I do. I have to pronounce you on correct you on the pronunciation of my last name. It's Saglimbeni.
Oh,
It's okay. I have to represent my Sicilians.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you know what? I was presented with that wrong, so thank you so much for telling me.
I don't blame you. It's happened to me since I was 4 years old.
It has. That's so funny. So tell us a little bit about your studio in Slick Force.
I opened Slick Force Studio in 2003. A lot of models and actresses came to me and said that they were tired of, being taken advantage of on set, or they were tired of photos that just didn't capture the real them, or they were tired of being asked out on dates while they were trying to, advance their careers. And so I just decided to start a really high-end, kind of ethical glamour studio at the time. And we helped a lot of girls get into magazines like Maxim and stuff, and FHM and King and Smooth and Black Men's and Show and all of that. Okay,
wow. Now, I remember you talking about how you do a retouching. Now, tell us a little bit about that, the retouching of the photographs and what really makes your photographs incredible.
Well, when I started in the business, I noticed a big disparity between kind of the urban magazines and the mainstream magazines, and you would look at Maxim and you would see all of these mostly white models, and they would all have amazing photography and amazing retouching and hair and makeup, and the girls were all glammed out. And then you'd look at the urban magazines and you had these beautiful girls, but the retouching was terrible. And I felt like it didn't give these girls a fair shot. And oftentimes the photography was mediocre. And so, I just decided to kind of come up with a new system where everybody could look their best all the time. So I developed this retouching system using what I now call the Slick Force technique, which effectively is the first retouching system that addresses people of all ethnicities. And we actually, about 2 years ago, we put out a 6-volume series that covers light complexions, dark complexions, wet skin, heavy shadows, harsh sunlight, working around tattoos. It's kind of the first retouching series, I think, for the modern photographer working with the modern model, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've always been interested in photography, and one thing that I notice about your pictures in your magazines, all these women are absolutely aesthetically beautiful, but I noticed that they have, they're able to bring out some sort of like inner beauty, like the passion. Like I think they look so lovely in all the pictures, and they all look different. Do you know what I mean? It's each individual one, and I don't see that in a lot of photo shoots that I've done, and also in other pictures. So I think that's really incredible. And how do you get these women to feel so comfortable?
Well, I mean, it's very sweet of you to say. I don't give myself as much credit as you do, because I think as a photographer, I try really to stay in the background. I mean, I see myself more as a coach than the star of the set. And so the model is always the star to me. And so, with each person, I kind of approach them on an individual basis and just try to find out what makes them comfortable and what makes them happy. I think every person, not just female, but I think every person has something inside them that they're yearning to show to the world, but maybe they're insecure about it, or they just don't know the best way to get a platform to display it. So I try to just create a bridge from who the model, who the woman is in real life, and sort of who she is in her head. Okay. And I try to provide a roadmap for her to get there in a very short amount of time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I've had bad shoots,
Really?
I don't publish them.
Okay.
You'll never see them. But I have to give the women all the credit for the photos.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just really good at casting.
I don't know. I remember seeing one interview with Kim Kardashian, and she said that you just have a way about making a woman feel very relaxed and comfortable, and that's very important, especially with photography. So,
yeah, I mean, Kim is one of my favorite people. I mean, and I think now that their family has gotten so busy, I think her favorite thing about me probably is my speed. I mean, it's great if she's still hiring me, because I try to make everybody look great. But I try to be very conscious of the fact that they have a million things to do. And so I know I'm going to have 8, 10, 15 minutes tops with them, and you got to get cover-worthy photos. So that's my challenge now.
Good. Okay, so now you're going to be starting classes in this April in LA. Is that correct?
No, we actually have Photo Camp. Camp is spelled with a K.
Okay.
It's we have an annual photography workshop for everyone from aspiring brand new photographers who have never touched a camera in their entire life to veterans. The way we structure the class is we break up into groups. So if you know nothing about photography, you're not going to get lost, and we're going to carry you all the way through. And if you come in and you know everything about your camera, but you just don't know lighting, which is, I think, the thing that a lot of photographers seem to be missing right now in their portfolios, is the ability to light the shot that's in their head. And so we have a really intensive lighting workshop where we take them out to the desert and do shoots out there, and we break down studio lighting. We bring in amazing models, and it's a really good weekend.
Awesome. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's April 20th to 22nd this year, and for more information, just go to photocamp.com. Camp is with a K.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we're going to get into the magazine in just a second, but I want to dig into you a little bit more. So tell me, have you always wanted to be a photographer? What inspired you?
It's a good question. My father was a photographer, and he always used to take pictures, and I'm willing to bet he would have been a professional if it was a realistic profession back in the 70s. So I kind of grew up always thinking it was my responsibility to take pictures. I always was the one that captured my friends and my family and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know that I thought I ever would make a living at it, although apparently when I was 5, my grandmother asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and apparently I only was aware of 2 jobs, which were priest or Playboy photographer.
Wow.
So, I mean, I wasn't that far off.
No, not really. You chose well.
I'm
I
very,
think you went down the right path.
I lead a charmed life. This career is like Alice in Wonderland sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just thinking that too. I mean, you get to travel all over the world. You get to photograph the most beautiful women in the world. Not only women, but I mean things in general, gifts, animals, cars. I saw all kinds of things in the magazine, and you know, it's an exceptional career. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. I mean, you know, the models and the people are definitely a lot of fun, but I traveling is kind of the benefit that I didn't expect from this business. And it just, I've always loved traveling since I was a kid, but, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't have the resources to go everywhere I wanted. And now, you know, I'm very lucky to have a career where, you know, I just got back I went to China, Italy, Egypt, and Morocco in one trip.
Yeah.
It was insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, so let's get to this incredible magazine. I was so excited when I got this in the mail.
Because you're in it.
I'm in it. And I'm so honored to be in it. But wow, the magazine. So tell us a little bit about it. You know, what inspired you to start the world's most beautiful 3D magazine?
Well, you know, this is going to sound cliche, you know, but I was sitting in the theater watching Avatar, and you know, when I moved out to LA, I had initially wanted to be a director, and then I kind of moved into photography. And after that movie, I don't know if you remember, in cinema, 3D was a phenomenon. I mean, 3D had existed 100 years before Avatar, but it never really caught on. And I thought about photography, and I said, you know, no one has really brought 3D to the commercial level in still photography. And I was kind of curious why. You know, I thought the technology certainly would be available. So I contacted an engineer friend of mine who's a genius, and I just asked him to help me build the cameras. And I went and did some test shooting, and I was thrilled. I had never seen 3D photography like this.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody, when I see 3D photography, and I'm talking like 5 years ago and prior, it was always like a bee pollinating a flower, you know, or like an old man sitting on a bench, but it wasn't really exciting photography. It was like, oh, look, he's in the foreground, whoop-de-doo. And with this, I said, you know, well, maybe we could do something on a larger scale. You know, maybe we could really do a full-on publication with celebs and supercars and gorgeous models. And, you know, and you know, the verdict is still out on whether people want to see it or not, but I'm pretty excited every time I see it.
You know what was great is I got the 2 magazines, and I live at Panorama, so it's a big tower here in Las Vegas, and I brought the magazine, and everyone was like, what are you looking at? And I had them put on this. When they had them put on the glasses, it was like, cool, you know, it was just so exciting to look at the magazine in 3D. And I noticed a bunch of stuff that you had in here. That's what I was saying. It wasn't just people, but the elephants. Elephants are my favorite animal.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh,
look at that. Nice.
They're such beautiful creatures, and you know, I try very much to support, you know, protecting the elephants as well. And how was that? How incredible was that to shoot them? And then
the animals were amazing. I mean, you know, elephants are my favorite creatures as well. You know how you've seen those photography books where some of the really great photographers will capture these kind of old, weathered faces because they possess a lot of character.
Yes.
I feel the same way about elephants. You know, if you look at an elephant's skin, it looks like they've been around since the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they move so slow and deliberately, and when they look at you, it's clear they're not intimidated by you. And it's kind of nice to meet another species on the planet that just is comfortable with themselves, you know, isn't
massive
constantly
creatures
in a state of threat, you know.
Look at that. It's magnificent.
I don't know. I mean that in that photo right there, and my good friend Ali Khan in Kenya took me out to Tsavo, one of the national parks, and I was trying to get a photograph of that little elephant on the left over there. You can just see his tail sticking out.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started taking pictures, the other 3 elephants turned towards me and started making threatening gestures.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I was like, oh my God, I love elephants even more now. Like a couple of them tried to knock the Jeep over, and my friend was like, Nick, I was sticking out of the sunroof so I could get pictures. He's like, get in the car. Get in the car. You're going to get impaled with a tusk. Get in the car.
Well, they're so protective. Honestly, they're so loyal to their herd. And that's what makes it so incredible. I mean, these animals are such emotional creatures. That's why I love them too. But that's why I think your magazine is so amazing, because you have like the most beautiful of everything, not just people.
I try. I didn't want the magazine to just be around. I didn't want the magazine to just be about models. Because at the end of the day, I think that has limitations on how far you can go.
Sure.
And but at the same time, I mean, there really hasn't been a mag like this where you try to put everything under one roof. I mean, I'll tell you, every conversation I have with distributors, marketing people, advertising, publicists, they all say, well, what is your magazine? You're not really glamour, but you're not really fashion, but you're not really travel, but you're not really auto. And I said, yeah, but it's all stuff I'd want to see in 3D.
Yeah.
That's never been shot before. And so, they're trying to put you in men's interest, or they're trying to put you in entertainment, and I say, I don't know. I think this magazine transcends categorization, but and that's not to say it's better or worse. It's just that I think if it was just 100 pages of girls, we'd have a very limited audience.
It would be the same thing.
Yeah.
That's
and a lot of women love this magazine. That's kind of exciting to me, especially being a photographer of women. I love women, and I want women to love the magazine. And if women think, oh, this is trashy, then I feel like I haven't done my job.
There's not one thing trashy about
it. Oh,
the
that's
magazine.
very good. All right. Maybe I succeeded this time.
Yeah, it's very elegant, and it keeps you wanting to read to the very end. So this one, I love the first one, but this one was even more incredible.
I have to give my team credit. I take no credit for why this magazine is better. We brought on an amazing team. Mandy, our executive director, and my art director Clint Davis, and our post-production supervisor Joyce Park. They really encouraged me to beef up the content and turn it into a real magazine. I think if it was just up to me, it just would have been pretty pictures. That's it. And we brought in a new editor, Katie Pegler, from 944, and we did the Stan Lee interview, which I was really excited about.
That was really a cool article.
I remember Stan Lee's voice when I was 5 years old, sitting on the couch watching the Incredible Hulk cartoon. And when I met that man, and you're in his office, and he's got this wonderfully humble office, and he's got these photos on his wall in picture frames, and they're these old cheap picture frames. And in each photo is him and Ronald Reagan, him and Bill Cosby, him and Michael Jackson, him and Steven Spielberg.
All the icons.
And you're like, I've done nothing with my life. I mean, you feel so insignificant. And you think that man can die happy.
Oh,
he's accomplished everything a person can accomplish. And he's such a wonderful man, so friendly, and he was the first one to say yes to do our magazine that wasn't a woman.
Oh, that's great. And that's what I was going to ask you now. Primarily, I see most of the shoots with women.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about doing the greatest sportsmen in history? Are you going to be doing more men, or?
I get asked that question a lot, especially because of the surprising amount of women that read the magazine. I think because the magazine is so new, there's going to be a period where we try to figure out our audience. Okay. And obviously, it has to be commercially viable too. That said, there's no reason we can't splinter off and do 10 titles.
Absolutely.
So it just, as long as the market's there. So just let us know. You can email me at nick@wmb3d.com and just tell me what you want to see.
Okay. So, you have obviously accomplished a great deal in your life, and you have a lot of creative energy, which I love. That's where I drive from as well. What inspires you most in life now? Is it your work?
I don't know. I look at Eddie Murphy's career, and I think, maybe I try to draw some parallels just in terms of maybe what he was thinking at certain times in his career. Not that I've achieved anywhere near that level. But, when he was young, he had a certain type of energy in him. And I think a lot of people would argue that that was also his funniest stuff, and the stuff
Yeah.
he's done now, the Dr. Doolittles and things like that. Maybe they're not on par with Coming to America. I mean, I think it's safe to say they're certainly not on par.
Right.
But I think you change as a person, and I think for me, I went through my phase where it was really fun to shoot half naked women all the time, and then you kind of just mature as an artist and you want something different. So I think what inspires me now is, I still have an insatiable curiosity. I don't think I'm ever satisfied. And so I think as long as I keep looking for things that maybe have never been captured a certain way before, or, like one thing I'm really excited about in this magazine, we have a Bollywood superstar, Malika Sherawat, who I've been a fan of her since 2002, I think, when I first discovered her. And, most Americans have no clue who anyone in Bollywood is.
Right.
And so I thought that was a really cool platform for me to say, you got to check out this girl who everybody in the world knows about except for you, and I need to educate you, And so that type of stuff inspires me,
That's really cool.
The ability to create a platform for people and give them a new audience.
Right, absolutely. And that really expanded her career probably as well.
I don't know. She had a pretty amazing career before me, but I think it certainly expanded her audience.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so with all your success, and I mean, doing these magazines, I know there's a lot more you want to do, but what would be the one thing that would make everything complete for you in life at this point?
Oh, I don't. I don't know that. I don't think that's an answerable question for me. It's not one thing. There's so many things. I feel like.
How about with the magazine? Like, what's your goals towards the magazine?
The magazine, I think, was really a way for me to reach a new audience and to really gauge how excited people would be about 3D. And I think the cool thing is that anything we do now probably can transcend the magazine. I mean, the magazine I'm very proud of.
Yes.
But I think there's so much more that we can even do in motion picture.
Yeah.
And sort of web-based things. And with the technology now with the iPads, if you've seen WMB on an iPad, it blows the print version away. I mean, I don't get me wrong.
Cool.
I love print. I'm a purist. I'm always going to print this magazine. But when you see a luminous 3D image on that iPad screen with your glasses on, it's like no 3D I've ever seen in my life.
It's awesome.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is cool. And can you really quick tell everybody how they can download this, how they can find the magazine?
Yeah, just go to WMB3D.com, or if you can't remember that, just worldsmostbeautiful.com. And we sell the print version. The app is available for iPad, iPhone, all the Android phones and tablets. So, just go right to WMB3D.com, and you can click on the app download links right there.
Cool. Now, when you were shooting these two magazines, what was the most memorable shoot, and where was it? You can pick one.
No, it's good. No, I mean, I think what's interesting is the shoots all take on lives of their own after the magazine comes out. Obviously the beautiful girls sort of develop fan bases. The shoots like the Stan Lee shoot sort of command respect for our publication. And then artistically, I think people really enjoy the fashion shoots.
Right.
I think the fashion shoots they don't get a lot of press, but I think artistically they're probably the strongest in both issues. So I really enjoy shooting those. Okay. Just because I never really was a fashion photographer, and I was never really interested in being a fashion photographer. So this is sort of just fun for me. I'm like, let me see if I can be a fashion photographer. Maybe I can figure this out. So it's kind of amusing.
That's cool. Was there a location that was just absolutely gorgeous? I mean, you've been all over.
Yeah, in the second issue, is one of my favorite locations I've ever shot. We found this big old warehouse. I mean, it had to be 30,000 square feet, this warehouse in downtown Los Angeles. And it had to have, I'm guessing the ceilings were 25, 30 feet. And it was one of those old machine shops like you would see in a Michael Bay movie, just with the old cranes and metal hooks that, who God knows what they carried on them. And, we had the models swinging from the hooks, and we had ladders, and they were climbing
awesome.
the girders and the steel rails. And, that place, I couldn't get a bad shot. it was like no matter where, I would drop a camera and it would be an amazing shot.
That's
And it
cool.
had so little to do with me.
So
That's
it wasn't
my
like
favorite.
a tropical island. It was actually this warehouse with all these unique things that made your
No,
shot.
you know, it's funny. If
Yeah.
you look at a lot of my work, it's always these really, I take beautiful women, but I always put them in front of really grungy environments or backgrounds. And I think it's because, like when I'm sitting on the white sand beaches of Kenya, or I'm in the deserts of Morocco in the Sahara Desert, the last thing I want to do is take pictures.
Yeah.
Like
I hear what you're
I do it
saying.
to share. Like I
Mhm.
love it. It's my method of communication. But you don't really want to work when
Yeah.
you're like you're there. It's just you and the universe, and you don't really want to work.
I hear you.
So no, those aren't my favorite places to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are your favorite places to relax.
Favorite places to be and
To
exist
be.
and reflect on your life. Yeah,
Right.
they're fantastic.
That's amazing. Can we talk a little bit about your charity,
Yeah.
RAIN and the Red Light Children Charity? I'd love to hear a little bit about
Well,
that.
they're not my charities.
Okay.
We donate to them. We're
donate.
actively involved.
Okay.
RAIN is the world's largest sexual abuse, and they basically counsel victims of rape and incest, and also sort of proactively educate the public and school systems on how to prevent those dangerous situations. So
It's
they're
really
they're
important.
they're a great charity we've worked with for a while. Both issues of WMB, a portion of proceeds have been donated
Yeah.
to RAIN.
It's amazing.
At Red Light Children is also an amazing international organization that fights sex trafficking worldwide with regards to children, which is, if you're anyone who's even aware that exists on the planet, if they're not involved in that cause, it's bewildering to me. I don't know how anyone can just,
It's unbelievable.
sit home and just make it about them and think about Apple and iPads,
Right.
when there's kids being traded for sex,
People
in some
that
countries.
are uneducated about it don't realize what a unbelievable problem it is. So I really wanted to talk about your charity because I think that's really important and that's amazing.
No, and another one I'm really happy about that we just teamed up with is Breast Cancer Charities of America, which is fantastic. And Erica Harvey, who's the director of that, is just a fantastic woman. And I photographed Estella Warren and Layla Cayley and Tiffany Hines and just some really amazing people for that. And it's fun. It's fun to see how excited everyone is when they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
This industry,
it's something from the heart, that you can give. And I love that.
The industry becomes so capitalist and so money driven, and it's really nice to just see how excited people get about just doing things from their soul.
Okay, so I have to ask you, because this is kind of a heart-based show. So tell me, with traveling and your amazing career, is it hard to be in a relationship or meet that special woman? I had to ask you.
I'm getting better.
You're getting better?
I'm getting better.
Okay.
We'll just say that. But you know what? Let me give can I give the addresses for the charities real
Oh,
quick?
absolutely,
Just,
yeah.
redlightchildren.org,
Okay.
RAIN, RAINN.org, and I want to get this right. Erica's going to kill me. TheBreastCancerCharities.org.
Okay.
And I will look that up to make sure, but if not, you just go to my blog and just click on the BCCA campaigns.
Okay. And just give us your website real quick. So
Yeah,
we have
my
the-
website is nicksaglimbeni.com. No one's going to be able to spell that, so it's just Nick, N-I-C-K, and then just put SAG.com, and it'll go right to my site.
Awesome. I love how you just totally sidetracked my question. I love you. Okay, so then answer this one. What qualities in a woman do you love? Or what makes a woman sexy to you?
Well, those are two totally different questions. Smile is super important to me. Eyes are everything to me. Body is secondary, but certainly very important and amazing. It's funny. I feel like the default answer is supposed to be confidence as far as what makes a woman sexy. But I think one of the most attractive things in a person is watching them discover new things about themselves. And so
Great.
that's not even necessarily confidence.
That's really
it's
cool.
just curiosity. There's nothing I get more excited about than watching someone else get excited, discovering something that they can do.
I love that. That was an amazing answer. Okay, so we're running out of time, but I want, again, for you to go tell everyone where they can download the world's most beautiful 3D magazine. This is so beautiful. You guys really have to check this out. So
Yeah, worldsmostbeautiful.com.
.com. Do you have a Twitter they can follow you?
You can follow me. Yeah, Nick Saglimbeni is my Twitter, and you can also follow the magazine at WMB3D.com.
And when can we expect the next issue?
We've decided we're going to take our time with each issue because we put a lot of thought into the 3D photography. So I would say close to summer.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. I love your work. I think you're an incredible person, and I wish you so much success.
You're very sweet. Thank you for having me on now twice. This is fantastic.
Yeah,
I love
and coming
being
back
here.
again. And being next to me is even better.
It's absolutely a gift.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. This is Amy Hart.